Well, hello. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you all. It is a beautiful Sunday. It is March 4th. Please take a seat and join us. If you've decided to join us for brunch, we welcome you. This is our Sunday get together. We get together every Sunday, unless I have a family commitment. Sometimes my family here in Oregon would like to get together, and sometimes that's on a Sunday. So then I have to cancel. But that doesn't happen very often. That only happens, how often does that happen, folks? Maybe a couple times a year, maybe. July 4th, right? Got to go out and have some salmon barbecue or something like that, right? Okay, so I was asked to do a donation on the planet. You guys asked if I would do something environmental for the fundraiser because you're right, we have not done anything. We waited and we were focusing on other things. So I think we'll go back to AmericanForest.org if you would like to make a contribution to our fundraiser. If you enjoy getting together for these brunches, then consider making a donation. We donate the money to charity for our get together. Want to give a shout out and welcome Holly S., who has become a fairy and an angel. If you do become a fairy and an angel, it comes with some really great perks. We get together on Saturdays and we offer free readings and free health tips for natural medicine. Hope you guys love my glamour look today. I decided to put on a little bit of the glamour. And then I was trying to think of what to wear. And I thought, I really love my Egyptian shirt dress. So I just went ahead and put that on because I felt like the colors, I wanted to go with like a red pink theme, a little bit of green in the eyes. But yes, when I was younger, I played with it was my expression of art. Was my girlfriends and I, we would, so I bought a couple color palettes. They're not particularly expensive on Amazon. You can also get them at the 99-cent store, by the way. For those of you who like to play and you like your face to be your palette, then you might want to think about doing that. Let's go ahead and turn the camera around and give gratitude to all of you who were kind enough to decide to spend brunch with me. And boy, do I feel special. Let's hear from you. Tell me what you're eating. Tell me what you're drinking. And let's see if my contacts work. Desiree Robata is in the house. Welcome. Thank you for helping out today. Kitty Connell is here. Thank you for your membership. Rush, thank you for your membership. Donald Lampert, hi, good to see you here. Pat, thank you for being here. Karen W., thank you for your membership. Much appreciation. K Travel to Row, we got to get together, girl. It's either the weather that hits us or, well, when it gets to be spring, you and I got to do some walking or something. Joel Tilson in the house. Everyone give gratitude and respect to the all-powerful king of the show, the king of the hill, none other than the all-powerful Joel Tilson, floor director extraordinaire. He's walking the virtual floor with his microphone. If you are unhappy in any way, shape, or form, please let Joel Tilson know. Joel Tilson hails from the beautiful, great state of Wyoming, and he is an amazing cook. He is descended from royalty also. So he's a king and a prince of a guy. Debbie Brady is also in the house. She is a real life talent manager. Gosh darn it, they do exist. She is a pretty remarkable lady. She is a talent manager and a talent scout. She is also a creative director. She is the person responsible for the new designs of this show, as well as the amazing merch. Be sure and check out all the merch we have available here. I'm washing my cup and my shirts, but if you check it out, it's all been designed, including the logos, by the all-powerful Debbie Brady. Okay, so without further ado, how is everybody holding up with the crazy news? Now, did y'all take my advice from last week to turn the energy more towards yourself? And let's not get manipulated by the news, people. We must not get manipulated by the news. Scary times come and go. But I think that the message we got from Spirit last week is that we really just have to work on ourselves and remember what our mission is in life. And the easiest way to lose sight of your mission is by getting wrapped up in things that have nothing to do with you. You know, like spending. Well, YouTube is really addictive. You know, I keep telling myself that the reason I watch so much YouTube is because I'm doing research. Right? I hear myself say that and I realize how funny that is, right? For me to actually say that. But that's what I tell myself. Let's go ahead. We're going to do the empath prayer. We'll talk about the remote. It's pretty interesting and I think it's pretty good news. And I think it's going to be an interesting conversation, the remote. So let's go ahead. We'll do the empath prayer. If you know the empath prayer, you can say it out loud or silently, and hopefully together we can create some beautiful energy today. Everybody can feel good and have a positive experience today. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. Amen, everyone. So last night I was meditating and I was doing some research and I was doing an HCRV technique. I think we introduced it 6th, 7th week. Some of the teachers and students here can remind me because I don't have my notes in front of me. But one of the things I want you guys to get used to if you are students of HCRV is this idea of scanning the grid. Y'all, those of you who are students, you've heard that term. Is that correct? Let me make sure everybody is on the same page here. Scanning the grid is a technique where we want you to go through the 5 steps and you get into your center or your gut. There is a way to enter into the 5th dimension, right? There is a way to enter into alternate dimensions, but the problem is that people don't always know where the door is. The door is the gut. And that's because the cord, the physical body and the animal soul, which contains a physical body, which we talked about last week, is called the nefesh or animal soul, right? So the nefesh or animal soul has an actual density to it, right? It has multiple chakras, but there's a density to the nefesh, right? And it's attached through the hara system, or what we call the core star, right? So when a person dies, it detaches from the core star and then it comes up and exits through the crown of the chakra, right? The crown head, right? The fontanelle. So when does the soul enter is at birth. So the baby crowns, and then when it crowns, the soul enters. It may hover about prior. But according to the Talmud, it doesn't enter until birth, at the point that the child crowns. So it exits the same way. It detaches from the nefesh or the core star. And once it detaches from the core star, it exits out through the head. That is the physiology that we're talking about. Okay, so let me show you an image. For those people who are remote viewers are like, okay, we're reviewing today, but that's okay. I want you guys to take a look at this. This is the core star right here. You see this center area? So if you're trying to get in, and get out, you got to go there first. So I teach my students, you got to go deeper in the gut, go deeper, deeper, deeper. And then when you get to the energetic, then you can begin to enter into other dimensions, but you've got to go deeper in the gut. People try to fly out here, it's not going to work. The entrance point to the core star gate, the gate is through the gut, which is also why the gut is so powerful. And it's the reason why we teach you as remote viewers that that is your power seat. Okay, that is going to be your power seat. And here's our required reading, right? Here's some of our required reading for students and advanced students. Why am I telling you all this? Because if you're going to be a remote viewer, whether it's an HCRV practitioner or you want to work for the military, or I mean, to each his own, right? They have their school, we have ours. We're two distinct schools and we respect each other. And I've never had any problems with people that study traditional HCRVs. I've studied civil mind control, which it's all based on getting to these lower levels. So scanning the grid is when you go into the core star and your energetic body is focused on the core star. And then while you're in a state focusing on the core star, you try to look at the world objectively without any emotional attachment whatsoever. You're simply floating over the earth, trying to see what's going on. I've been hired to go in. You guys basically hired me. I have multiple benefactors, right? They pay monthly to keep me in business, right? Thank you. Pays my rent, right? So I see it as a job. I go in, you tell me where to go, I list it, and then I do this technique. Every time I do this technique, I find the same. And then when I locate the energy, I follow it to its natural outcome. And then I deliver that report to you once a week on Sunday over brunch. And then you, with your wisdom, because this is for entertainment purposes only, truth can be found in the pretend, you have to use your discernment to determine how much is BS and how much Whimsy's really onto something here. And that's what we do once a week for 5 years, and we document it so that the scientific community can have a good laugh, but also I get some great responses from physicists, etc. So there's truth in the pretend. It works. This stuff works. We don't know why it works. We have some theories. Getting into alternate mental states. I'm telling you, this stuff works. And I would love, I can't wait until scientists explain it. So what do I keep seeing when I go over the grid over and over and over and over and over again? I see the collapse of China. I never said over the years, as I scanned the grid, I try not to have any emotional attachment to anything that I see. Because if I attach an emotion other than universal love and compassion, which is what we get you into in stage 4, right? Step 4. Those are your students, right? All these steps historically have a purpose. There are 5 steps to HCRV, heart-centered remote viewing. Class starts on Wednesday, by the way, if you want to enroll. I should probably say that. It's at the elders and empaths level. If you class starts Wednesday at 6 p.m. You don't have to attend live to get credit. Might as well pitch it. The point is that when here's something we do. Our job is to go in and just look at the stuff. I'm not supposed to be emotionally attached. I'm simply supposed to observe energy. If I see a high activity of energy on the globe, when I remote view the globe, I'm just scanning and I'm in my gut. You understand? I'm in a state of universal love. My 4th chakra is open. And then I just feel my gut. And I want to find out as I scan how my gut is feeling. How's my gut feeling over here? What the heck is this, right? I'm having a physiological response, right? That my little brain, my gut, is going to interpret it before my intellectual brain can. What the hell am I looking at? What is this? What the hell? I'm seeing this collapsing and breaking apart. Why? Why did it break apart? Why did it this cannot be saved. This cannot be saved. I put out warnings for years because well, first off, it's fun to be a remote viewer, but it's also kind of a job. So, my concerns and the concerns from, when I give this kind of remote and I say to people, China is going to collapse, that China cannot survive. China, what I would say to you is that it is Rome before the fall. And if you look at the history of the collapse of Rome, you're looking at the collapse of China is just like the collapse of Rome. Furthermore, I want to go on record saying it's inevitable and it can't be stopped. It's too late. You guys want to talk about it? Thank you for being here, Joel. I need you today. I so need Joel and Debbie. How do you guys feel about that? We're talking about a country of 1.7 billion people. Now, if we're looking at the collapse of Rome, we're talking about extending its borders and having multiple wars, and it simply did not have enough money to maintain its borders. The places it was occupying were not bringing in enough profits, right? Like Rome occupied Judea. The people were starving to death. Cannibalism broke out because they couldn't feed the military that had come in. So what happens is that Rome starved themselves out. Rome could not maintain its own military. It couldn't maintain its operations. So inevitably Rome collapsed. It was trying to taxation, render under Caesar what is, right? They were trying to save and maintain the occupations, but they couldn't maintain the occupations and they collapsed. So what we have with China is a really complicated remote in the sense that I could not maintain it. And not only could I not maintain it, but I found, and this is something I want people to understand as clearly as possible, the financial sector does not have to international financial sector does not have to put up with Xi and the collapse of China. China could not maintain their borders because COVID happened. So tourism, they were depending on a steady income from tourism. They were depending on a steady income from profits from doing business with U.S. companies. Then they tried to convince the U.S. you can't live without this relationship. You can't live without this treaty. You're going to collapse America if you don't continue to do business with China. And we bought into it, even though it was creating a lot of problems for people here in the United States. But when you go into the energy, I'm a businessman. I will flip-flop once I get into a world, or I will try to be everyone. And I found myself doing business in Hong Kong, and it's a damn joke. I can't operate like this. And now you're coming in and trying to punish me with taxation because the other guy ran off with the money. I don't have to be here in Hong Kong doing my business, making gentlemen's suits or whatever my business. I'm going to Singapore. I found myself going to Singapore. What am I going to put up with you for, Hong Kong? I'm out of here. I'm going to Taiwan. I'm going to Singapore because you're crazy and you're trying to tax me because you got in trouble with this. Now you've got a deficit and you can't maintain your borders. And so what's starting to happen? The international community is pulling out of China. They're not doing bad. They're getting great deals in Singapore and Taiwan. I know because I was there, because I got to be the guy cutting my Hong Kong contracts, which means what? It means that Hong Kong is going to collapse. It means that Hong Kong cannot maintain its economics because they're penalizing the people that are bringing in the money, the independent business people. So the independent business people are going elsewhere. They're going to the West. So what has happened? The exact opposite of what China said was going to happen. The West is not collapsing. Our economy is doing great under Biden. We were all scared. We're not going to make it. China's collapsing. Yes, China's collapsing, and the money is being thrown into the West, and the West is exploding. We concentrated our wealth and did business with one another, which is precisely what we should have been doing in the beginning, which is weakening our enemy and strengthening us. So it didn't turn out the way that they said it was going to. The collapsing of China is not hurting the West. It's helping the West. You're either going to support the Western economy or not. But if you're using your money to strengthen the Chinese military and to expand trade routes in areas that are creating conflict, how is that in the long term helping the US? So when we divested and began to invest in the West, we started doing better, but they're collapsing. I want to talk about that. Capitalism and communism can't exist together. You know, this is the whole thing, Joel. Can we do a hybrid? People thought that they were going to create some hybrid and that things were going great. This relationship was great. But now we're starting to see that maybe it isn't as great as people thought it was. Well, the remote continues on. We see not only a collapse of business partners that are invested in places like Hong Kong and new territories, but then we start to see an energetic collapse between Beijing and Shanghai. Why? Follow the energy. Where's the money? The money's in Shanghai. Who brought the money to Shanghai? The international business community. Well, they're leaving Shanghai because of these taxes, etc. So what happens? There's tension between Beijing and Shanghai, which is like Washington, D.C. and Hollywood, right? So now we have civil war between Shanghai and Beijing. In addition to the fact that they're now collapsing their markets with their with territories like Hong Kong, right? They cannot maintain their current system and they will collapse, which is why things are going to be really great in 2025 for the West. But basically that was the takeaway from last night's remote, was that the West is getting stronger, the East is getting weaker, India jumped on to the Abraham Accords and said that they endorsed it because they saw where the tide was turning. Now, we do have a rise in Chinese immigrants to the United States. So it's going to be interesting to see how we deal with migration patterns. But for now, the West is only getting stronger because we're pulling money out of the East and investing into pro-Western countries that are pro-Western and part of the Western Alliance. Is anybody surprised by the results given the doom and gloom predictions about the collapse of China? For now, we're doing well. Do you think it's going to stay like that? 1.7 billion people facing possible starvation, hunger, not good. Pork sales are down because people cannot afford to buy meat. It's scary. It's very, very scary. So we don't want anything bad for the people of China. At the same time, it does not seem to have had a negative impact on the Western economy as we had predicted, and quite the opposite. We're going back to those companies and developing relationships in the West that are creating jobs for people in the West and creating competitive salaries. Very interesting. Okay, would everybody like to get a community reading now? I think it's a very interesting conversation because I don't know much about this type of global economics, etc. So it's always interesting for me when I do these types of remotes and then I scan the grid and I see something like that because I don't always understand what I'm seeing. All right, we're getting a lead here from Debbie Brady that we're going to go ahead. We've already done the empath prayer. We're going to do the community. I feel like I want to use a different deck today, so I'm going to go with the Morgan Greer. Oops. I mean, I feel mixed about it. On the one hand, I can say it's good news for us, but I don't like hearing that people are really suffering financially in another part of the world. At the same time, we got a raw deal from those contracts. You know, you look at Gary, Indiana. You ever gone into film footage of Gary, Indiana? We lost our cities. Our cities of industry collapsed. So I think those cities will come back because this was devastating for our country. And divesting of China may long-term be one of the best things we can do for ourselves. Not to say we divest entirely, but it'd be nice if we could start investing in our cities and infrastructure again. You know what I mean? Okay, here is your reading. People who are older tell me that Gary really did have places that it was a good place to raise kids. Not every part of Gary was bad. People who grew up in Gary in the 50s and 60s say it wasn't all bad. There were good parts of Gary. And I'm like, I believe you. But if there's no economy, you're not going to, and if you have cities of industry and the industry is gone, you don't have a city. You have a ghost town, and now we have ghost cities. You know. All right, where we are as a community, the message from Spirit at this time is work smarter, not harder. Work smarter, not harder. And that's because you have to be able to look back. Oh, hi, Mark. Good to see you. My friend Mark is here. Mark Rhodes. You just got here in time for the tarot reading, your personal reading. So the message from Spirit is they really want you to work smarter, not harder. And what that means is learn to let go of the things that don't suit you right now. So do an account and a reckoning of everything you're trying to get done, everything you're trying to assess. And if it's not working for you, be ready to let it go. 5 of Swords is the base of the matter for you. And that means take the weapons of war against those people or situations that are working against you. If you keep batting your head against people that don't like you, they don't want, that's something that I do. I keep trying to be friends with people that don't like me, don't respect me, treat me like crap. And I keep going back for more. It's something I have to cure in myself, right? I don't have to try and get everybody to like me. I don't have to get everybody to respect me, to treat me like a human, right? I just have to terminate the relationship. I have to objectively see, well, maybe there's something I need to learn. If it's constructive feedback, great. But if it's just someone smacking you around, I had a friend that was mad at me when I wrote the Oasis One program. I lost a friend over the Oasis One program because they were just annoyed with how neurotic I became, right? I became neurotic, understandably, right? And then it became this mutually antagonistic relationship, right? The point is that it was toxic. It doesn't matter if they're a good person, I'm a good person. Sometimes you can get into relationships with people that become toxic, and then you just have to let it go. Doesn't mean that you don't have to make a decision about their character or your character. Well, they're evil. No, it's just that it's toxic. Five of Swords is when if there's war going on, you're going to nip it in the bud. They also say, spirit guides, that this is the time when too much outward energy, which is something else that's been coming up quite a bit, too much outward energy and more of a need for us to focus on perfecting our own mission in life, whatever that is. For me, my biggest mission is, of course, I want to be the best naturopathic doctor I can be and the best herbalist I can be. I'm a purist as an herbalist. I don't even like to use alcohol extracts. That's what a purist I am. So that's the time of the hermit. It's when you respect yourself enough to take your passions seriously and throw yourself into studying and working on yourself and taking away any situation that's potentially antagonistic to you. Where you are right now, the King of Cups, you're the bridge over troubled water. Emotional king it's a healing king. It's a sensitive, emotional being who tries to create peace for others. Also, unbelievably psychic. You could be at an incredibly emotional time. I see many of you traveling. The Knight of Wands is a traveling night. Could be traveling and dealing with issues of family inheritance. I have to go back to Israel probably in a couple of months. I'll be back. I'm trying to see how I can work that out. But we see travel related to family. That would be an example for me of me traveling back to family. What you're coming out of, Ace of Wands. I have very good feelings about everyone's future career, business aspirations, etc. If you are putting time and energy into your dreams, you're going to do very well for yourself. Ace of Wands is your past placement. That's entrepreneurship. That's get up and go. That's make it happen. Your future is Two of Pentacles. Don't be wonky with your spending. I get like this. The joke is that Dr. Anderson never met an herb she didn't like. I was just studying about mistletoe last night. Mistletoe, lily of the valley, they're cardiac aids, right? Of course, I'm probably not going to bring it into my home because you got to be real careful with mistletoe. But maybe mistletoe soaked in vinegar, right? That would be an ancient extract that I could do, right? But it's like I keep buying and I keep expanding my herb formula. They say a good herbalist can have 30 herbs and you can probably do some amazing medicine with 30 herbs. So, you start with 10, 20, 30 herbs, and then you start with your kitchen herbs and you go a little crazy, right? So Two of Pentacles, be careful about investing too much into your what you're endeavoring to do. With the Two of Pentacles, where you're at right now, the Queen of Pentacles, business-oriented, finance-oriented, achievement-oriented, arts, creativity. Queen of Pentacles is also under the realm of Archangel Gabriel, arts and sciences. Well, more arts writing. Others that you are having conflict with, Hanged Man. Really about saying no to people that are not good for us. Hopes and fears, the endings of things. Your final outcome for this week, you are entering into a time of Magician. We talked about fasting as a way of becoming empowered and taking control over your life. And that fasting could be as simple as deciding to put the fork down at 6:30 every night and saying, I'm an adult and I've decided that I will do no more snacking after 6:30. You don't have to go into keto and do 2 days without food and all this melodramatic whatever. You simply have to eat like our ancestors did. No more snacks after 6:30 and see what happens to you. So Magician is about taking responsibility. It's about manifesting what we want out of life. We start with small goals, and then these small goals make us more and more confident. I see many of you entering into a very intellectual period in your time, one of sound judgment. The businesswoman comes. I see retraction of your enemies, hanged up, your hopes and fears, your own power. The King of Wands is the power king. It's almost like you're frightened of being too aggressive. You're frightened of your power. The King of Swords is as cold as ice. He's willing to sacrifice, right? Including our love. Well, if it's an abusive love, to get what he wants. You're entering into the time of the King of Swords. Others may find you cruel, so be it. Because you have got to keep the boat afloat. You've got to take care of yourself. Remember the spiritual lesson from last week. You have a moral responsibility to take care of yourself first. And you must remove anyone from your life who is toxic and destructive to your health and well-being. It is in violation to the natural order to stay with abusive people. You are in violation because your life doesn't belong to you, and your life is a gift from God. And so you're in violation of God if you allow yourself to be abused and you're being gaslit. You have a moral responsibility to take control of your life and not abdicate responsibility, and to remove any influence which is toxic, including family members. And that appears to be what's happened for some of you. And you are entering into the time of the King of Swords. The King of Swords in Hebrew, we think about the energy of Gevurah, and the Gevurah energy, if we're looking at Kabbalah, is that of boundaries. Gevurah. Gevurah. Vechesed. Chesed is kindness. You cannot have chesed without Gevurah. You cannot have kindness and truly help people until until you've got some boundaries. This is the surgeon's card. This is the doc. This is the emergency physician in the ER. Cold as ice because they're trying to keep you alive. So this is a time of understand. Also, your karma card was the hermit. Study your life, study yourself, study your mission. Get on the path of creating heaven on earth. Stop feeling guilty when people who are abusing you try to stop you from being on your path. You must remove them. You have a moral responsibility to remove them and continue on your path and throw yourself into your work. That is what your message from Spirit is. And I hope it gave you guidance today. I think women in my generation have a problem. We must die for others. We must sacrifice all. All right, let's do some blitzes. I just need somebody to give me the order. Debbie, get me out of here. Somebody give me a blitz, blitz, blitz away. Hi, Renee. Good to see you here. Yeah, we all have to just get on our path, whatever that path is. And hi, Chris Crowdis. Chris Crowdis has a question for us. I guess we're blitzing away here. She wants to know, question, will lab-grown meat become identical Is that what she's saying? Identical in nutrition to animal grown. Well, the protein cells are identical. A cell is a cell. If you looked under a microscope at a chicken protein cell that was grown in a lab and a protein cell that you cut off of a chicken breast, it would be the same cell. There's no difference. It's just cells grow and they divide when they receive oxygen and nutrition. So all they do is they just take those cells and it's like a beer fermentation and grow them. We think that the cells have to be attached to a chicken and a bone and all this other stuff, and we're freaked out by it. But the truth of the matter is you're just growing cells. But I think what you're asking is something as complicated as a chicken breast where you would have fat cells and everything else. Let's take a look. They say they're already there. Yes, we're growing fat cells. There's also been things going on that the general public doesn't know anything about. I just cracked into some private information. There have been arrest and patent arrest. I know, for example, that Lab Meat's first contract was in Singapore. According to these records that I've, China has been China's been stealing the patent on how to grow lab meat because of their population issues, and evidently people have been arrested. You don't see it? Contracts for labs, yes. Investigation into criminal activity. Somebody was arrested in a foreign government offshore regarding money stolen. Well, it's the technology. I mean, think about it. If you have a lab that you can create that's like a beer, that's like Bud Light Brewery, and the end product is slabs of chicken, beautiful chicken breast, of course China's gonna, and you're doing it in Singapore. I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't expect to wind up in those fields. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh dear. Yeah. It looks like there were a series of contracts that happened. It really took off well. And now there are a series of raids, legal cases. The police are involved. You can see here, arrest. Here come the courts. I didn't expect this. It's a jail for the money. Here comes the FBI. Well, what do you think about that? See, Chris Krauss just wanted to know about the hell. Next thing you know, we're part of some international sting operation and stolen patents, out of Singapore. Singapore's competing with China. We just saw that in the last remote. Here's the FBI, stabbed in the back. Here's the jail, over the money. Here's the courts. Here's the arrest. Well, don't you think China would rather be the ones producing all that meat? Not Singapore? You see what happened? So yeah, in answer to your question, Chris, yes. And quite crazy what's going on. Well, I think it'll be common knowledge eventually, but for now, people are stealing each other's patents. So one of the things that's come up has to do with the craziness of the weather. Like Phil said, we were going to have an early spring, and it looked for a while like we did have an early spring. But I told you guys not to get too comfortable, that I felt like a very heavy winter blast was coming in. And then I pickpocketed. I took from certain areas, right? I said that I saw a massive storm system coming in over the northeast area. That hasn't hit yet. That's going to happen now. That looks like a deep freeze coming in. Or is that happening now? I don't know. I haven't checked the news. And then I saw something over California and Florida. So we had a major winter storm over Florida. Over winter. Let me just see what's going on here. I should probably check more often. I just like to scan the grid using the technique I was telling you about before, and then that way I can just feel. I can just feel the weather coming in. I can physically feel it when I use that scan the grid technique. Well, we're going to have a hot spring. April, it's like we get some we get some heat pretty early in the spring. Now it yo-yos. We could get like 100 and something degrees in April. We have April coming in, and then the lover's heat coming in. We get our wish, though. Overall, it looks like it's going to be okay over the next 6 months, but it's going to be a very hot summer starting early around April because my April card shows heat. Six of Wands, I would think it's not going to be, I don't like heat. I mean, it's getting scary hot. And when you think about the amount of snow that fell, we're probably looking at some serious flooding. Yeah. I've stopped watching, Yolanda, the news, other than I have to do remotes for you guys. You guys will tell me to go in. A lot of the time, I don't even know what you guys are talking about, so I have to look it up like, what? But yeah, it can be kind of detrimental to your health if you do too much of that stuff. But I find also when I scan the grid, like when I found out about all those trade wars, it's not a world I live in. You know, we hear in the back of our head, you know, trade wars, what does that mean? But then when I scanned the grid and I saw all this tension, I'm like, what the heck is that tension? And then I had to Google. I was like, oh, it's the trade wars. It's like, what is Putin mad about? It's like, oh, and then you scan and you see, you can physically feel, because you're in your gut, you can physically feel it when you're going over these areas, like, what the hell is that? But you really feel it's really a helpful learning technique, because first you feel it, first you experience it, first you see the images and go, what the hell? And then you start to do the research. And then everybody thinks you're a genius, but you're not a genius. You're just a remote viewer doing research. It's so much fun. Wednesday, 6 p.m. You should join us. All right. China starts a war in Taiwan. Boy, I hope not, but let's take a look. Within 30 days, we could see a major economic collapse of China. Oh, God, I don't. 30 days, right? The opposition, China. They can't keep it a secret forever. It's she. Got to take control over it, man. 30 days from now, though, no, I don't think they can't attack us for refusing to do business with them. It's because we divested from, oh my God. I'll tell you what happened, everybody. New contracts. You see? See the contracts? Within 30 days. You see what's happening in the West? We saved ourselves. You stole our patents. You sent spies in to steal patents for COVID after creating COVID. Not intentionally create. You didn't intentionally create it. I mean, but it was an accidental leak when a spy stole. We did a remote. They did not intentionally leak it. It was accidentally leaked when people were attempting to steal samples to sell to other people that were competing to create vaccines. That's what happened. So it was an accidental leak. It was not possible legitimately, which was what the scientist from Wuhan lab said when we did a remote, because she was doing everything in her power to prevent precautions. People were not eating the animals. They were being cremated. She showed me everything. It's not, they did everything in their power to ensure that no leak took place, which means that it was intentionally removed. And then when we went in and did a remote, why would it have been intentionally removed? It was stolen by people who had been offered money to get samples. And that is how it accidentally spilled into the population. Because if you go back to who patient zero was, the researcher in the lab, that guy was stealing samples. How China deals with it is up to China. But you can see here how we're responding as new contracts within 30 days. We are going, you have to support the United States, and if you don't support the United States, why are we strengthening your economy and your military when you're engaged in these types of trade wars? The response from China: prison. This is Xi. He's arresting everybody who he thinks is responsible. Where is Xi at right now? His country is collapsing. This is Xi. Do you need me to read the cards for you? Oh my God. Here's the West by summer. Remember, most readers read quick, 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 but also August. Magician in August. We're fine, and that doesn't bode well for the Republicans. All they can do to hurt the economy at this point is attempt to obstruct or block bills. Because if they don't obstruct and block those bills, the US economy will be doing great, and that means that Biden will be doing great. Do you see how sick this is? I don't know. I don't know how to interpret it other than the fact that they're deliberately attempting to sabotage a great economy in order to help a guy with 91 federal charges get into the White House. So I don't think I'm blocking anything here. I think that's pretty damn crazy. But you tell me, you're my audience. I work for you, right? So I'll let you guys decide. Oops, that's not the one I meant to click. Okay, sorry about that. All right, I'm trying to see these questions here. Joel wants to know if Xi is going to be. Do you think we're talking about some kind of learned helplessness here? Who would remove Xi? And can we even blame Xi? I mean, isn't he the best of them at this point? I mean, he has a Western education. Didn't he go to school in Iowa? Are we going to get somebody less Americanized? I'm not so sure we totally want to get rid of Xi. Let's take a look. I'm telling you, every time I scanned the grid, I felt there was no possible way that something as large as China, you follow that energy, you know what kind of money to maintain that? So their housing collapsed. Their tourism, their contracts with foreign it's just every day they lose trillions, billions every day. The deficit every day is a deficit. So if you have a company that's having billions of dollars deficit every day, and then you have everybody pulling out of the Chinese stock market, I fear that continue to watch this unravel. What happens inside China is that you're talking about not just economic collapse, but can they maintain their own internal infrastructure that they've been building? Because I think their internal infrastructure is the next to collapse. Their roads, everything that they were proud of, because the money also went towards infrastructure. But can that complicated infrastructure be maintained? I don't think so. So you could start seeing a collapse of infrastructure inside China, and also the collapse of projects inside China. He may declare war in certain provinces against other Chinese in order to unify China. He's declaring war on China. So certain people that are serving in China, certain areas of China that are experiencing corruption or problems, being towing the line, he's going after them, going to war, Six of Wands. He's marching into battle against his own countrymen. Strength, inverted ace of pentacles. He's going to lose more money. So his way of trying to keep everybody, the fraying parts together, is he goes to war. So that's like, he said he was going to start arresting everybody. And that's exactly what's happening. They go into this, it's, oh God, you guys, you got to get me out of China. Send me, this is so bad. He's going to win. He's arresting them all. Three of Pentacles, evidence against them. Slow and steady judgment against Xi, his opposition. So there are people calmly sitting down saying, we can wait. Your time is coming to an end. Patiently waiting, judgment against Xi. But look at this, inverted justice and strength. So he is becoming kind of psychotic, isn't he? The final outcome here, loss of money and Tower. I'm telling you, within 30 days, China's economy is going to collapse. They have 30 days. Get me out of China, man. I swear I'm not doing this. I'm just pulling cards. It's just so obvious with these cards. I can't imagine. It's just too large a country. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and switch things up. I know you all are worried about Trump. I know you're worried about King Charles III. You're worried about Nikki Haley. What else? Who else are you worried about? I don't know. You're worried about Biden. There's so much more to talk about than just little old China. By the way, thank you to everyone who's been donating to AmericanForest.org. We are raising money for the rebuild in Maui. If you are being entertained, think about doing some donations. Much appreciated. Anything else I need to do? Trump's drug addiction. Oh, SCOTUS. Oh my God, rose blue, SCOTUS. Well, as many of you know, it appears that SCOTUS is going to do the absurd and consider the possibility that Trump, while a president, is immune from anything and can do whatever the heck he likes. And he is basically Caligula. He is the emperor of Rome. It's just so... Here's the case. It was pushed. There was a member of the Supreme Court that demanded that it had a temper tantrum. And who was this person that demanded it be heard? Was that Thomas? Because according to the Akashic records, because I just read them, they come in when I go in. They're saying that they demanded that this be heard. It was Thomas. They had to carry the heavy load because a man demanded it. King of Wands demanded it. Within 6 months, we have a decision. So they were basically palliating Thomas. And that gives him time to build his case. So Thomas initiated it. No, they did it to appease certain members of the court that requested it. It was demanded by some of the people of the court, and because of the rules of the court, they took it on because this person was very aggressive. So it appears that Thomas was very aggressive, and if he had not been so aggressive, they would have turned it down. 6 rejected. It's 6-3. The vote is 6-3. against Trump? I already have the vote, if you guys want to know. Well, 3 said yes. So what does that mean? 6 rejected even hearing it. Here's the case he's trying to build. They will reject it at 6-3. But 6-3 scares me. It'll come in within 6 months and they will vote against Trump. But how could you have 3 people on the courts that actually think that the president of the United States would be immune? That's insane. It should be 9-0. So who 3? Well, Thomas. Who else? Aido? Who else? No, I don't think she did. When I went in, I said no. I didn't side. I didn't side with him. It wasn't her. But Gorsuch, maybe? Oh, maybe Kavanaugh? Aido and Kavanaugh. Do you think so, really? I got 6-9. I don't know. We'll just watch it play itself out. Let's do one more. I want to do one more before we close because people say we don't do enough blitzes. Yeah, the women will vote no. What do we have? 4 women, so there's 4. And then Roberts voted no, that's 5. And then, Barrett voted no. Yeah, that was the final vote. She went with Roberts. All right, we're going to do one more question about the high temperatures. People are a little bit worried because the cards do show toasty for the summer. Well, the temperatures projected in the spring, well, there'll be more forest fires. Gosh, I hope not. Western Canada, et cetera. Let's take a look at fires over the spring and summer. Well, more growth too, right? If you have more rain, you're going to have more growth, which means more green, which means more potential fire, right? Is that what they say? These mega fires we've been getting. These cards have been really loud today, haven't they? Can you believe these cards? They're extremely loud, aren't they? I mean, can you believe them? They're so loud. I wonder what's going on astrologically. Yeah, people, there is some grief here. There's also people going to jail, legal problems that people are facing because of criminal activity. So possible arson. We have grief and loss. Slow and steady would indicate it might not be that bad as last year, karma, but we have some arrest here, possible for arson. We know that somebody had flown to California and lit a Trumpster, and he had started lighting fires. So we do have some potential arrest here, and arrest and death of somebody who may be involved in criminal activity. But it actually appears better. I'm not saying there won't be problems, but it's better than last year. All right, that wraps up our brunch today. I hope everybody had a rollicking good time. Had quite an intense conversation about China. I felt, well, it is, 1/6 of the world, isn't it? Or 1/5 of the world, China? 1.7 billion people. We've got, how many people here? 7, 8 billion. So, wow, 1/5 of the world? Oh my goodness. So it's important. We've got to find out what 1/5 of the world is up to. And yeah, I think it was very interesting. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your love and support. If you're trying to get in for a tarot reading with me, the information is below. If you can't afford a full reading, but you just want a 5-minute quick answer, you can do Wizios. Those are pre-taped videos. Also, think about becoming a member of our channel. Here for $2.99. We get together on Saturdays, and we also offer free readings. I do teach heart-centered remote viewing technique for $9.99 a month. We have not raised our prices for a couple of years now. And that is on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. class. The first class of the season, spring quarter, starts this Wednesday. We hope you will make it. If you need to see me as a naturopathic doctor and to receive health coaching, your herbal medicines, etc., that information is also below the video. And I see people for health coaching online via Zoom. So that information is all available. Okay, be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. And we'll see you next time. God bless and love you all. Be well.